Hello and welcome to the Jann Arden podcast and show. I am Jann Arden. I'm here with Caitlin Green coming to us live from her Toronto condominium, and Sarah Burke, who is with her dog in her condominium apartment. She is not at the lake house. Caitlin does not have any kind of an illness this week. She is not sniffling. There is no snot. There is nothing. But lead us off, Caitlin. What the hell has happened to you this week? And where is your son? Where's your husband? And what's going on?
He is placed in daycare, gently placed in daycare, and they can't go outside right now.
Gently placed in daycare. Yeah.
Single. But they can't go outside because of the heat warning. And so I hate when like you wake up in the morning and we get a notice from the daycare in saying either because of air quality from wildfires or because it's too hot, like we're going to have all the kids inside today. And it just makes me sad in my heart. So he'll have to do a little play after school. And also I find myself, and I don't know if either of you guys do this, but after you visit a place, do you look at real estate there and imagine what a move might feel like? Or am I
do not. I do not.
I kind of do.
I do that. Like my husband and I both, Kyle and I both do that. We do that a lot. So like every time we're away, we're like, life in the Eastern Townships or Chester or the Bahamas would just be so much easier and better for us.
Do you mean like a holiday home, or do you mean like let's pick up the family and move there, and we can have a food truck and sell drinks on the beach?
I think it depends on where it is. The townships always felt a bit foolish because it's just far enough away from Toronto that like if Kyle had to come back for work, it would be a pain in the butt. And also we don't speak French fluently, but like a lot of those towns are very Anglo. Chester, Nova Scotia, the Maritimes always have like a familial feel for both of us. So I think that there's a familiarity there that we enjoy. It's just a question of remote work abilities for Kyle. And the other place that we look will be probably around the Collingwood area. And that would be something that's more doable.
Where is that?
It's on Georgian Bay. It is
same as the cottage, just saying.
Yeah. So I wonder how you feel about this, being that you spend so much time outside of the city at the cottage. Do you ever think like maybe I should just do this?
Well, our neighbor at the cottage has been renovating their cottage since we bought it. It started about 3 years ago, and they're just finishing the reno now. So our little cottage looks like a shack beside this big, beautiful, like modern looking now lake house. So like property value is something that I've definitely been interested in because of what that does to like our area, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, Collingwood's basically on the other side of the lake from where we are, Midland Point. And yeah, it's really interesting like to think about just the different lifestyles. I mean, my lifestyle was so different being up at the cottage for a week than when I'm in the city.
How so? Just walk us through that. The pace?
The pace. Yes.
The noise, what your distractions maybe, like what is grabbing your attention, and now what's not grabbing your attention. You probably feel like you have more time.
Yeah. I 100% different life. Like waking up in Midland Point, it's easier to do like a meditation in the morning and less beep, beep, like the construction next door once in a while is kind of annoying. But yeah, like being able to do a meditation, then doing a nice long walk with Stevie. I'm usually not recording while I'm there. Like I'm usually doing production. So it's just like a totally go by your own schedule type of vibe. Whereas in the city, it's like, oh, I got this appointment. I got that appointment. I take Stevie outside here and the gardener's right there. Like it's so noisy. It's my bedroom window is the gardener, and I have the lake on my other side here, the window like where my laptop is right now. So it's it's the best of both worlds.
Well, I mean, maybe the goal is to think about when can we do this and to save. People have a way of saying one day we will, someday, one day down the road, and that suddenly you wake up and you are in your 40s and you're and you're thinking, I kind of have my leg on the other side of the fence now. Let's face it. I mean, the 40s is still considered middle age, is it not? Like you're in the sort of the middle age. Like if you live to 80 or 85, you guys should probably live to 95 or 100. Medical science is making so many enormous strides with longevity and cellular like reproduction and immunotherapy. Anyway, all this to say, it's probably in your best interest to find that someday
Mm-hmm.
and make it a more tangible goal.
Yeah, it's really just about figuring out, how the logistics work. And because I always know that the pace of life in the other places I go, I enjoy. But I do fantasize anywhere I happen to be. So I've thought this way about London. I felt this way about Copenhagen. I truly do feel at home in many places. I always love coming home, but I just think I've lived in Toronto for so long that there is a part of me that remains curious. But of course, we're very grounded here with our friend group, with families, and with Kyle's job. So it's different, but I do like the idea of saying, okay, well, maybe it's not happening now, but where would it be? And I do think retirement for at least a portion of the year in Chester, Nova Scotia would be such a great life. I don't know about winter time. I don't know what the heck you do there.
They get snowed in. They aren't leaving.
And like stuff is closed. Like that's the thing about these parts of the Maritimes. Like in certain parts of PEI, there's nothing to do all winter, and winter is like 6 months of the year there. So there is that.
Yeah,
Hence
the season.
snowbirds.
Jen, you're somebody who has another property. And like if we have the privilege to afford another property, like what goes into choosing where? Like how did you pick where you wanted to be in Toronto?
Well, it was walking everywhere. I don't have a car in Toronto, nor do I want one.
Yeah.
I do have a parking spot that came with the condo.
Yeah.
And it's so funny. I've been offered, $200,000 for that parking spot.
Oh yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, like you guys have a parking spot too.
I'm not going to say exactly where I am, but I'm walking distance to a Blue Jays game. I'm walking distance to the CBC building. I'm walking distance to Queen and John, to the old Much Music building, where Chum is. So it was so funny when I first bought the condo, it was literally just the location. I didn't look around a lot. I didn't have a lot of time. I just got fed up with, and it's literally 25 years of working in Toronto, sometimes a week every month, because of the various things that I was doing, whether it was the social or media, or we were satelliting to different venues there's so many venues in Southern Ontario. To work. So I just bought it and I added it onto my existing mortgage. So I just want everyone to know that I'm not this person that's like, yeah, I'm going to shell out hundreds of thousands of dollars. I literally had to do some creative financing and get a down payment down.
Yeah.
And put this house against it. So,
oh my gosh.
Anyway, I really like the area. I don't do any leisure time there. So the condo in Toronto is an interesting anomaly for me because it's always work associated. I've been there one time, Lisa Bev and I, last summer. We'd never been to a Blue Jays game before.
The
you guys remember this?
Itinerary.
And we went there.
Yeah.
And as a leisure, we stayed 3 nights in the condo where I wasn't working. It was bizarre.
Yeah.
Went out for dinner, went to the ball game, walked around, went to Toronto Island that you guys had recommended that I do. I think, Caitlin, you recommended that. And so it's certainly not a holiday property. If anything, where I live here is my holiday property. And I try and be here like 100 days a year. I know that sounds ridiculous, but for every job I do, there's 1 or 2 days on either side of it.
Yeah.
So traveling is arduous and I'm not complaining, but if you guys have ever gone away, even on a holiday for a week, and you gather the kids up and you pack your suitcases and you get your Advil and your Imodium and whatever the fuck you think you need if you get bitten or the kid falls ill or you need a hat and you get there and you're always missing things, but just the packing and unpacking, then you get home, there's laundry. Imagine doing that on a constant basis.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's a lifestyle. It's one that affords me a lot of things and I like it, but it is not at all what the perception is. It is you have to hunker down and look after your mental health, eat properly, get exercise. I've talked about this ad nauseum on this show. So yeah, to be here 100 days a year, I totally get the vibe of when you go to the townships, Caitlin or Sarah, if you're at your cottage, or I understand the exhale.
The exhale.
I get here.
Yes.
Yeah. And I know that I need to make some changes because I know that when I'm traveling, as I'm getting older, it's getting more challenging. And I'm trying to figure out now, what can I do to mitigate feeling like I'm missing out. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yeah.
100%. FOMO is the biggest thing all the
Yeah.
time.
And I think too, like it appeals to me the way that you describe your home as being like, this is my leisure property. This is my vacation property. And Kyle's parents' house is very much the same way. They live on a lake, they live on a golf course. Obviously, they're retired, so their life is much more leisurely.
Yeah.
But when I'm there, there's just so much more space and there's peace and quiet. I do find it a bit maddening because, like your condo downtown, I also just walk everywhere. I also can't legally drive, but I don't feel like my life is like
Oh, fuck.
sidebar.
Okay, wait, can we come
Every
back
time
to
she brings it
that?
up, I'm just like, what?
Okay, wait. Didn't we get our Fountain Tire friends to like hook you up with a driving lesson or something?
I mean, I have yet to receive any DMs, but I'm open to
Fountain,
it. Come
Fountain
on.
Tire. I'm taking you for a driving lesson.
Your car's too good. I need a
I'm gonna.
jalopy.
But mine might be okay. I got a
Yeah,
little
maybe
Jetta
Sarah's
for
is
you.
okay.
Okay.
But
Anyway,
like
carry on. Go on.
when we're out there, I do notice that like when you're living somewhere where you have a lot more space, the trade-off is to do anything you've got to get in your car. And that's a world that I've never inhabited. I have been within a 2-second walk of Queen Street, whether that's east or west, for 25 years. I mean,
Wow.
I've always been able to just hit Queen Street, and that's been my whole life. So I think, yeah, I'm like, okay, the ideal thing that we used to fantasize about before everyone's finances changed in the world is like, oh,
Yeah.
we'll just like have a house in Toronto and have a cottage. And then that'll be how we satisfy the feeling of we know we're downtown, we're burnt out, let's go to the cottage. And that still could happen at some time, but like TBD. Housing prices being what they are.
Yeah, along the lines of things that we know make us feel better, but we're trying to figure out how to get more of it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, do we take more vacations every year? Do we say, okay, Kyle, we're going to do something 3 times a year. We're going to do
Yeah.
something. Actually, we're going to do something every 3 months. And, maybe the 3-day weekend works, like just even to get away
Mm-hmm.
for 3 nights.
Mm-hmm.
But you had something here called One Thing with Ezra Klein. And I was really curious to know what that one thing entailed and how the question was posed to the guests. Was it one thing that you like, one thing that you love, one thing that
Oh
you want to
yeah.
do? Can
So
you tell us about that?
this was something more that I was thinking of for us. Like one thing that we're like really enjoying each week, and like one thing that's sort of like making us feel happy and maybe providing some escape or giving us greater insight into the world. And my like one thing really this week was this episode of the Ezra Klein
Okay, sorry.
podcast.
So tell me about that. So this was something that you chose
Mm-hmm.
that really lifted your spirits, entertained you, took you out of your environment. I
Mm-hmm.
like this idea for us and for our
Yeah.
listeners is to have one thing every day that you
Mm-hmm.
can cherry pick out of a pile of shit and go, actually, this was okay.
Well, yeah. I mean, for me, it's a combination of I try to be informed via him. I do enjoy longer form conversations. I can't say they're necessarily always feel good, but
Yeah.
sometimes I do enjoy a larger context around a topic that is really heavy, but is often like just little clickbait things that you see
Yeah.
online all the time, and there's no larger conversation about it. So I'm like, I can't really absorb it. I can't really think about it deeply. I can't sort of live in it. And I think with his show, they do an excellent job of allowing you to do that with someone that he's speaking to for around an hour. So he had a really great conversation. Actually, the most recent episode that he did is with his guest is Mahmoud Khalil, and this was the Palestinian protester in Columbia University who was detained by ICE in the U.S. and held in a Louisiana
He's
ICE.
now free, is he not?
He's out on bail, and he's speaking to Ezra Klein at great length about many complicated issues because he's a Palestinian refugee. He was, expelled along with his family from Palestine years ago, settled in a Syrian refugee camp for Palestinians. When the Arab Spring uprising happens in Syria, he winds up fleeing to Lebanon at great risk to his own personal safety, and winds up against all odds, learning how to speak English, continuing his education, making his way to New York, going to Columbia University, like, still really dedicating himself to things that I feel like would just overwhelm so many people because he's been through a lot. So heavy conversation, not exactly feel good. And I'll basically finish something like that and then go watch Love Island UK because I'm like,
that's your palate cleanser.
It is, but I think it's a valuable way to consume information about deep topics is to listen to, pick one show, one thing that you enjoy on one person who you like listening to and have them break it down and then be like, okay, I'm informed on this now. And I can like move on with my day and watch Love Island.
It's kind of like a gratitude journal in a way, when we can sit at the end of the night. I like journaling. It's an important part of my day. Even if I do it for 5 minutes, I sit in bed, even if I'm really tired and I've been traveling, I sit down, and if it's a paragraph, sometimes it's 2 pages. Sometimes I really get going. Yesterday, for example, I had an old A&M rep, literally from the 90s, like 30 years ago, reach out to me on WhatsApp. She goes, "Hey, Jann, it's Beth Tallman." She and I have kept in touch over the years, literally for 3 decades. She worked with me in marketing in LA and, did a lot of things with me very, very early days of my career. So it was so interesting to do a video call. She's like, are you up for that? I'm like, oh, absolutely. I'm just sitting here drinking
Queen
tea.
of FaceTime.
Yeah. And she popped up and, not much has changed. And I remember Beth back in the day, and she had adult braces. And I always thought, oh, it's so brave for adults to walk around sporting braces, and her beautiful auburn reddish hair and her freckled complexion. And she had glasses, and, she was kind of the antithesis of what you perceived a record sort of executive, a young woman in marketing would look like. Like, she always marched to her own drummer. Anyway, ended up writing about our conversation in my journal. And I really fleshed it out of what it meant to be in touch with someone. She's now taking nursing. She's a little bit younger than me, but she's in her mid to late 50s. And she's going to nursing school. She lived in New York for 27 years, music business, all kinds of things. She's moved back to Seattle to the original house that she lived in. She's back in that house. And I ended up writing about that, but it sort of took all these offshoots. But when I folded my journal up and put the pen away and kind of shut the light off, I just thought, I'm so glad that I'm writing these things down. That's one thing in my day, every day, that has made a difference to how I look at the world, how I look at my life. And yeah, there's discomfort when I read back. I feel like it's a different person. I feel like my writing is terrible. I, feel like my sentence structure isn't great, but it's not even about that. It's about just the process of kind of capturing my conversation with Beth. And I think I'll appreciate that 10 years from now, of just how it made me feel to reconnect. And it's so funny because we talk every 2-3 years and we always pick up where we left off.
It's like those friends.
We were these 2 young girls at the A&M office on La Brea when Delamitri and Suzanne Vega and John Hyatt and all these people were at the peak of their careers in the 90s, and you don't really hear much about them anymore. And Beth is just like, I've just been following you all these years and you're still just doing it. She read my last novel. Like, she's really kept up on me. Anyway,
that's really nice.
I'm kind of rambling here. It really has been, but it's something that brings me joy every day, even if it's something sad that I'm writing about.
Tiffany Pratt said that, and I kind of like took that to heart. And I've had my CBT therapist suggest this sort of over the years as, a way to, and she's also like, it is a creative thing that you're doing. So I feel like that could be very valuable to people.
So you haven't journaled yet, is what you're telling us?
No.
It could be cool.
Some people just, the idea of it makes them uncomfortable solely because they don't perceive themselves as writers. And I will reiterate again, it's not about that. It literally is, took kids to store. They were idiots. Bugged me so much.
Yeah.
My car looks like the shittiest one in the parking lot. It's not about, it really is these little, and you will remind yourself of the day.
Yeah.
And it has made me a better writer because my thoughts, I'm able to, after all these years, put them into a format that I enjoy, challenging myself. How do I capture our conversation and what it meant to me? So I'm always kind of challenging myself
Speaking of
to,
journaling and therapy, combining the both, one of the exercises that my therapist had me do when I had just quit the job at SiriusXM, and I was kind of a broken, confused person for a little while there. She had me write a note to my future self and put a reminder in my calendar to read it. So it's like a journal entry, basically, about how you're feeling in that moment. And so it was like 2 years, and the reminder popped up in my calendar.
Oh my God.
And I was like, oh, I got to go back and read that now. And I'm someone who falls in and out of journaling. Like, I really love it. But as you know, another thing I work on is bedtime routine. So that's sometimes why it doesn't happen, not because I don't love it. I'm trying to make more time for that. And so when I read it, it was like, oh my God, I have come so goddamn far since that moment where I had no idea what was on the other side. Right. And I was so scared, and I had no plan. I had zero plan of what was coming next. I just knew I needed to get it out. Yeah. So that I really like journaling for that. It's like a little time capsule for yourself, which is cool. My one thing this week, I would say, I lived with a roommate. I didn't expect to still be having roommates at this point, but I had an abrupt breakup and needed to figure something out quick. And a friend of mine who was also in the media, worked for Global News in Toronto, was moving back from in the East Coast, actually. So she got a job in Toronto. We were both like kind of scrambling. I remember being in the same room as my ex and being on the phone and being like, look at your text messages. I was asking her while he was standing in front of me if she needed a roommate. And we ended up rooming for 2 years, and we don't see each other all the
2 years.
Yeah, we don't see each other all the time anymore. She's got a kid. She lives up north now. And so we got together for dinner on Sunday and just like reliving. We had it so good. Like, she said to me, you were the best wife. Like, she's like, we like took care of each other in the way that we needed as media people. We were both hustling around and so busy. Hey, I made this for dinner. Grab some on your way out. I know you're in a, like, she was like, you could never have told me how good we had it. Now I'm like, can I recreate that in my home now? So, we did have it really good. So that's my one thing.
Love that.
Yeah, that's great.
And I think there's a theme here, and it is connection. Whether it's Caitlin connecting, with this long form conversation, and you are a fly on the wall listening to two people share ideas. And there's a real connection there, because what you do when you listen to those conversations is you're interjecting your thoughts, you're agreeing and you're disagreeing, you are emotionally investing in what two people that you really don't know are saying. And boy, is that ever resonating for a lot of us on a bigger scale. And I'll use the Gaza thing as a very large example. We have to invest in this general global conversation of what's going on. It's no different than listening to two people talk in a room as to the political discourse and the politics of what's going on. I don't know how anyone could not care about the bigger things that are going on in the world.
Yeah, it's about the lens in which you're going to connect to learn more about or figure out your next steps if you're someone who wants to take action.
Because there's so many little sound bites, and that's what I find overwhelming. It's almost like my thoughts about these bigger issues are always being interrupted by these little social media posts and these little moments. And that's why I really appreciate a longer conversation, especially with two people whose valuable perspectives don't necessarily make it to the top of Instagram or the top of my algorithm all the time. So yeah, it was great. I love his show, but it is, it's an in-depth show for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, it's along these lines, there seems to be a theme kind of popping up here just about our humanity in general and things we're grateful for. This is a little left of center, but Caitlin, you bring the story, and I read this twice this morning about this young woman who signs up for an anti-loneliness event. Take us through this, because it broke my heart, And then it repaired my heart,
Hmm.
like how the Japanese people take something broken and they use gold to repair it,
Oh,
to make it
kintsugi.
kintsugi. They make it even more
Yeah.
beautiful. Like they don't throw out a
Yes.
cup because the handle broke off. They mend it with gold. I mean, how beautiful to see that seam of gold to remind you of something that was broken that isn't broken anymore. Anyway, an anti-loneliness event, and this is what unfolded.
So she's a 21-year-old woman named Josie Stinson, and she's living in Salem, Massachusetts. So she signs up for an anti-loneliness event, and it's a local anti-loneliness club meetup. It's on Eventbrite. And she's like, I'm hoping to make new friends, obviously. So she pays $12 for a ticket. They're saying, oh, there's going to be dinner, socializing at this restaurant at this time. She arrives. No one else is there. At the
Oh,
anti-loneliness event,
oh
she's the only person
no.
there. Josie's just at the table waiting to see if anyone else arrives. She said the restaurant staff tells her they had no knowledge of the event. So she sits there waiting alone at the 6-person table. And eventually she gets a free cake from the restaurant owner
As
who,
she should.
Because
as
they
she
feel
should,
sorry for her.
of course, because they're like, God, this is the most depressing thing you could ever imagine. But then here's where I'm like, good for you. Because in that moment, it would be so easy to get back in your car, tail between your legs, and just be bummed by this and think, I am a loser. But instead, I do think humor is a superpower. So she posts this to TikTok. She posts this to
Just don't
TikTok.
think I am feeling like I want to die and that this is complete torture and I don't know what I did to somebody to make me sit here and do this.
I walk in, right? I show my barcode ticket because I paid $12 for admission to this club. I show it to him and he's like, oh my God, I haven't heard of this. What is this for? And I was like, oh, it's a anti-loneliness club. And he's like, oh, I didn't hear about this. Let me ask the guy. And so then he asked the waiter next to him, and then that waiter asked the waiter walking by, and then they keep asking me, what's the name of the event? And I keep having to go, the anti-loneliness club. I don't get embarrassed easily, and I wasn't until I had to say it like 4 or 5 times, and I was like, honestly. I was then brought into the restaurant because we were like outside in like the little seating area, and then I was introduced to the owner who asked to see the ticket, and he called it the cruelest prank he had ever heard of in his life. He said if it was a real event that he would have had to approve it, and like he's done events with Eventbrite before, and like he would have known if it was real. Well, I'm thinking, hey, well, if I got scammed, maybe someone else did. Can I just sit at a table and see if anyone comes? And he was like, of course. And he sat me at a 6-top table in the center of a restaurant. I was alone at a 6-top person table in the middle of a restaurant. I signed up for this wholeheartedly because I wanted to make friends, but I was also making a YouTube video about the experience because I've been complaining a lot on my channel about how I don't really have that many friends. And I had this like whole empowering video planned in my head of like, just put yourself out there. What's the worst that can happen? This is the worst that can happen. That was the worst possible outcome. And I didn't even consider that as an outcome. Really funny, but also fuck you, Eventbrite, because what do you mean? Like there was no like host? Like no one was like there for sure. And also it told me that if less than 4 people signed up, then it would be canceled. So I'm not sure if like the whole event was a scam or like people signed up and didn't show up. I don't really. It's a funny story. Hopefully the YouTube video will turn out good.
Anyways, it goes viral. The video gets 1 million views. And she said that since she shared the clip, a lot of people have reached out to share similar stories, offer support. And she said learning to laugh at yourself in those situations is the best thing you can do, because if I get embarrassed or if I wallowed, it would have been a way worse experience. It makes the experience worse. And it just, she said, it's really not that serious. Like it actually is objectively kind of funny. So I love that.
Well, it's ironic for sure to go to an anti-loneliness event. I mean, obviously there was people that thought about going, and the idea of going to it bummed them out. They're like, I can't go because then they'll know how lonely I am, because that's what would have been going through my head.
Yeah.
Is I can't sign up for this. So the fact that you're signing up for an anti-loneliness event to me says you have nothing but hope and promise about meeting great friends, because you're willing to go, I'm going to try this. I'm going to fucking spend $12 and I am going to go meet other lonely people who might be way worse off than me, which actually will make you feel better to meet people that are not even doing as well as you are. Think about the possibilities. Right?
Oh, 100%. And there's such bravery in that. And it is rare. And you do think about the feeling that people would have where you just sort of like expect that you're going to continue to accrue friends. You just sort of expect that you're going to find the right
As you get
people
older?
Yeah, I think people just sort of expect that when they don't, you don't really think about losing friends and social dynamics changing and people moving away and having families. Like, I don't think you account for a lot of that. And there can be so much heartbreak around adult friendships. So,
oh God, don't even get us started.
Sarah's like, don't trigger me. But I think that can be really profound. So I'm like, this Josie, brave little Josie, I want to give her a cape or something. I'm like, this woman signs up for this loneliness event, sat her ass there at a table for 6, ate a free cake, and then posted about it on TikTok. Like, good for you.
Well, along those lines, there's a lot of people that self-publish books. They self-publish children's books. There's a lot of ways to go about that, and we've talked about that at book club before. We need to break out the book club from last night too. We need to talk about that.
We need to debrief.
Yeah. But anyway, a lot of people have used TikTok to express their absolute devastation at going to an independent bookstore, advertising on social media, saying, I, the author, am going to be there signing my new science fiction novel or my first of my trilogy of my whatever, or my children's book. And nobody shows up. And they're sitting at a desk with books piled beside them. And they really are like crushed beyond. Not only have they fought tooth and nail to self-publish this thing, probably at a great personal expense to pay for everything.
Yeah.
A first run of books, I would imagine you have to do 100. I don't know how that even works. But, you know, the great thing that has happened, and Caitlin, you touched on this with this young woman's TikTok story, having a million people look at it, is that these people sell out of their books. People show up and they go to the link, they go to Amazon or wherever, they buy these fucking books. People are like, oh my God, I just sold 800 books. I have to go do another printing of this book. And all of a sudden they're showing up on a 100 top bestseller list on Amazon from like complete disaster. So people do recognize aloneness. They do recognize, what if that was me? And they respond accordingly, whether people have invented a game on social media, whether they've got a grandmother that's made fucking little things for bees to rest in a garden. I've seen all kinds of little inventions where they haven't sold anything. They do these campaigns very similar to our friend at the Lonely Hearts Club, and they've exploded in social media, and they've maintained followers and gained friends and talked to people and found actual real publishers. So as much as we talk about social media being sort of the evil stepmother, it also can be a glorious place. And I think people are learning through hard knocks that if they show up for other people, people are going to show up for them.
Oh yeah.
And you know, you don't fail if you try. If you're trying, you're not going to fail.
And it does speak to people's inherent goodness. And I just think, and the real strength of being vulnerable and saying like, man, how much did this suck? Like, and then everyone's like, yeah, that's really rough. Here, let me buy your book. Let me send you a cake. Let me tell you my hilarious story in the comments about whatever lonely thing happened to me. I just love it. I love that humanness to people. It really is quite nice and refreshing.
Well, some of my favorite cry laughing threads that I've ever read on social media anywhere are worst first dates. I have, like, someone will post, this is what I did last night, blah, blah, blah. I thought I needed to fart. I shit my pants in the man's car. This is where this thing started. I wish I knew this woman's name. I was cry laughing. I think I was just in the right mood. She was all dressed up. She'd worn pantyhose for the first time in a long time. She went out and she was talking for a long time about how to figure out the size of pantyhose that you need to wear. And all of us have stared at those charts, the A, B, C, D. And you're looking
like,
at,
wait,
I'm 5'3", I'm 145. Like, what size do I buy? Anyway, she didn't get the right size. Let's just start there. She gets these. Are you guys ready for a story? This won't take me long.
Oh, I can't wait. I'm excited.
She gets the pantyhose on. They're not quite what she thought. She put her fingers through the kneecap on the right-hand side because she's pulling them up. She didn't have any other option. They were a little bit too small. So she ripped that. She got out her nail polish or her hairspray or whatever the fuck you're supposed to put on when you have a run. She gets that on. The guy is like picking her up at her home. And this was only like last year. It wasn't like she actually was being picked up by this guy at her home. And she got in the car. She'd had a little bit of a rumbly stomach that day. The
No.
pantyhose got on, but it kind of cut her stomach in a weird spot. She didn't quite like how her dress looked. So it wasn't going great from the onset, but they were going out for dinner. She didn't want to eat anything at home. She didn't want to spoil her appetite. So anyway, she got in the car and she felt a little bit of a gas bubble, and she had farted earlier in the day. And a lot of us can relate to this, and it didn't smell. So she'd
So she
farted
thought,
early. So
"No
she
prob."
thought she was okay. Like she literally took the time to fart, smell. No, it's not. It's very neutral. Nothing's happening here. So she thought, if this does happen, God forbid in his car, but at the restaurant, it's not going to be like the plane fart that yours truly may have created many, many years ago.
The plane.
Anyways, we're not going there.
We're not going there.
So she did fart in the car, and not only did it smell a little bit, but it was a shart. So she had diarrhea in these really tight pantyhose, but the pantyhose did hold everything in. Anyway, I was dying reading this. This girl was so funny how she explained it. Well, she had something like 7,200 comments underneath her. That's how many people commented. And on Twitter, and I think it's still like that now on X, people just were doing like 1 of 10. They would run out of space, and then they would go to the next thing, and you'd have to go through these threads to read these. They were goddamn hysterical first date experiences. And she was so redeemed. Like, I guess that's where this conversation has kind of led us to, is the redemption of people stepping forward into their own discomfort and saying, you think the shart is fucking bad? You shit in the guy's car? And the guy turned out to be really nice about it.
No way.
He did. He ran in and got her, because she started crying in the car. And she said, I need to go home, and I'm really sorry, but I've shit, and he pulled over to the drugstore. He said, what do you need? We can salvage this. Don't worry about it. We'll make the date. They turned out to be friends. It wasn't anything romantic, but she doesn't think it would have gone that way, even without the shitty fart. But he ran in and he got her another pair of pantyhose, drove her back to her place, sat in the car and waited for her to go in, change, get her pantyhose. Ma'am, if you're listening, if you were the woman that wrote about this, please contact us here at the Jann Arden podcast on any of our social media platforms. We would love to talk to you. But like I was saying, the ensuing comments, this girl just said, you guys have absolutely saved me this week. I've never been so uplifted and, so like, I'm not alone in this. And we do think we're alone when these things happen to us.
Yes.
That was my favorite part about radio, Caitlin. You probably had this too. If there was ever something to solve, something to find out if anyone had ever experienced, throw it out to the audience, right? Which is why we want your voice notes.
I know.
Right? Like if there's a first date story, I mean, great opportunity. Send her in. Please tell us.
And I think, what's funny? I wonder how, did you find, Sarah, that people became more and more shy about calling in as texting became most people's main form of communication? Because our text line would blow up. The second we talked about anything, I just looked and we would have like 30 texts, like anything, any little show, any coffee order, whatever. But nobody really called anymore. And I was like, I want the voice.
I think that's the 3 people thing, because you were on a 3-person show. Because I was always on my own. The phones were... I used to say my listeners were my co-hosts, because like the whole show would be phones.
Right.
I loved the phones.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah. Cause I was always like craving. I was like, please call us. There's 50,000 of you texting me. Like, just call. And then I would have to call people, and I'd be like, it is Caitlin from the morning show, and your text is incredible. Like, get on the phone with us.
Yeah. Well, and I would also say that, being on the Marilyn Dennis show might be like a little more,
intimidating
than being on the Sarah Berg show.
I guess she had a great story about, she once told a story on air about going for a massage, and she was wearing jeans that were too tight, and she took the jeans off and farted.
Oh God, we haven't talked farts in a long time, so it's nice to be back.
No,
it happens to everybody.
It really, really, really does. And at the most inopportune time.
Mm-hmm.
I was in an elevator. Oh gosh, it was years ago. I was staying in Toronto. It was called King One. The hotel was King One.
Yeah.
One King. One
Close.
King.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, it's like 35, 36 floors. And Chris was with me and we got into an elevator and it was really packed. It was like that time of day where everyone's coming and going.
Rush hour.
And we were in there as tight as we could be. Like if it said capacity 14 people, there was probably 16 people. It was uncomfortable, but we all prayed that immediately people were going to start getting off.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as we get in there and we start moving, someone rips one like really loud. And it was quiet for like 1,000, 2, 1,000. And then we all started laughing. Like the whole elevator, it could have gone one or two ways. It could have been that complete silence. No one's owning it. And then we hear this little voice go, sorry.
Oh my gosh, they owned it.
And it was a male voice.
Yeah.
They didn't even have to own up.
They
No,
didn't.
and he just said sorry. No, he said sorry, guys. So I just thought, and people were laughing, but in that moment, once again, everybody thought this could so easily be me. And there nobody said fucking gross. No one said, come on, pal. Like, come on, dude. Nobody said anything disparaging. It was just, thank fuck it wasn't me. And no one really identified the voice. Like the guy was a ventriloquist. It literally was thrown from the corner. It was thrown from the security cameras or something. We just hear this sorry.
Did he even exist? No.
Like I don't know where it came from.
Quickest thing on the farting. So this house being renovated next door. This is just last Friday. I'm taking Stevie for a walk and then I'm coming back to finish producing the pod and I'm wearing these sandals and these sandals of mine that are so comfortable. They're the farting sandals.
I know what you're going to say. Yes.
Okay. So there's these two fellows that are pretty good looking doing construction next door. Oh. And I pop out and I'm and I literally turned around and looked at them. 1,000, 2, 1,000. I was gathering my thoughts and what I was going to say. And I was like, guys, I'm sorry. I got farting sandals. I just said it like that. And they were
what
like,
did they say back?
They said, yeah, sure.
They were like, I have no idea what this woman's talking about. Like they probably didn't even hear it. They were just like,
I hope they were just, distracted by my cute
hey,
dog. But
Dave,
anyway.
Do you know what a farting sandal is? Is that a euphemism for something? I don't know, Rob.
Like, what could that mean? This reminds me, I was feeling a little bit blue. And for some reason, sometimes the algorithm does pay off. And Kyle, I was like, Kyle, I just hear him in bed, like cry laughing, like shake laughing so hard. And he's like,
the best.
He was like, come, you have to look at this video. And he does summon me to look at videos a lot. And I don't always like being interrupted to look at his latest video. But he was laughing so hard. So I was like brushing my teeth and I was like, fine, I'll come over. And I came over. It is two friends in a colonoscopy recovery room. This video now has like 1 million views. And it was that the woman who had just had the colonoscopy, her friend's filming her and she is saying, I still can't hear your farts. Like she's trying to actually record how loud her post-colonoscopy farts are. And just as she starts, the woman starts laughing and her fart starts laughing with her. And it's like, you can hear, it's like a fart laugh. It's the funniest thing I've ever heard in my life. And then her friend goes, oh my God, I'm peeing. And then hands her friend in the bed the camera and bends over and shows that she's peed her jeans. And then the fart laugh just picks up and becomes even crazier. And the two of us have watched this video 10,000 times now. I've sent it to everyone I know. I'm like, this is the hardest I've ever laughed. Like, it's so funny. So yeah,
if you don't send that to us, because we should put it on the show notes. Is there any way of putting? Because I think we can.
Send me the link.
Yeah, I think we can put the link on the show notes. That if you guys want to enjoy today's topic of fart laughs, listen. This show has gone by so quickly. At least we got to a few of the topics. My God, sometimes Caitlin sends stuff that we never get to. And it's like, this is carryover from last year, but we've still never gotten to it.
Taylor Swift.
Listen, there's a lot of mysticism around a new record that she's having come out. She's going to be on her boyfriend's podcast. The date has a certain correlation. Some people are saying the date that she's on the podcast. Sabrina Carpenter's name has come up because of a certain pair of orange underpants on a clothesline. There's all kinds of stuff. If you're a Swiftie, you already know what we're saying to you because there always seems to be a very
knew at 12:12
treasure box of stuff that she purposely puts out for her Swifties, and it's like geotagging or something. Like people just find these clues. I am not a Swiftie, but I do appreciate her artistry. Much like Caitlin, you made a good point, Caitlin, talking about you get it. Like you can
I think
sit
we
back
all
and
do. We all do.
I mean, I think she's amazing what she's done. Just her philanthropic, the fucking money she's given to people, and how she treats her staff and band, and how she treats her fans. So she has a new album dropping on the what to the where. I have no idea.
Tell us.
So she's going to have a new album that's coming out that is called The Life of a Showgirl. The Life of a Showgirl.
Oh, not The Last Showgirl. That's a movie. Never mind.
Yeah. Starring Pamela Anderson, another icon. So they announced that she is going to be on New Heights, which is the podcast that her boyfriend, Travis Kelce, has with his brother, Jason. So she's going to go on. She's going to unveil the album artwork for The Life of a Showgirl. This is all going to be released. This was released on Wednesday of this week by the time you're listening to this. So they're also assuming that she's going to be offering details about the release date and the first single. But then overnight, at the strike of 12 minutes after 12 midnight, then she says the title. She says you can like order the vinyl, you can order the cassette, and she pre-order the vinyl and the cassette. And there's also a poster. So she does this at 12:12. Everyone starts reading into all the numbers. And the podcast is scheduled for 7 p.m. Eastern on Wednesday, the 13th day of the 8-month. 13 for Taylor and 87 is Travis's NFL jersey number. Like there's all these numbers and meaning that always happens around her releases and anything that goes on with her. They also think that Sabrina Carpenter is going to be featured on the album because then Taylor posts a bunch of photos and Sabrina is in one of the 12 photos. And as well, they're saying that the theme for this album is going to be orange glitter. And then she posts the orange underwear. And there is always like an era, you know, Taylor talks about her Eras tour, how she has, so this is her like last Showgirl era. And whereas other things might be purple, other things might be pink, other things might be like folklore or red or whatever, this is going to be orange glitter. So I think it's like, I don't know, there's just some real magic to that. And it's the same way Madonna reinvented herself all the time. And I think for certain female pop artists, this really, really works. And it really just hits and it creates this big cultural moment that she just always does. Like every time she has a release, this happens.
And just when you thought that her following couldn't get any bigger, now you've got the guys that listen to this podcast, they're going to be like, oh, do I need to know about Taylor Swift's new album? Yes, now you do. So
for sure.
It's interesting the way that, I mean, of all the, yes, of course, you know, it's the boyfriend. But like, if you really think about Taylor Swift as a business, that's an interesting choice to drop that information on his podcast.
Yeah.
Well, for both of them, it's something that's very beneficial to them respectively. Yeah. So I think they're playing it just exactly the way they should. And I'm glad that they're still together. I think there was a lot of skeptics that were going, you know, she's just in it for this or that, or he'll get sick of, you know, being in the limelight all the time. And I think they're doing pretty good. I mean, I don't know. I wish them well.
No pressure about your next record. You got to figure out what the numbers are going to mean. And
yeah, I'd never done anything the least bit interesting in my career as far as stuff like that. I think I'm pretty boring for the most part. I don't have anything even that goes around the releases of my records, but I am so millions of miles away from that kind of fame, that kind of notoriety. But I can look at it in awe and just say, it's so clever. And I think it's really fun. I know that seems like a really trite word, but Jesus Christ, can we make things fun? Do we always have to take everything so fucking seriously? And when a record drops and this and that, she has a whimsy about her. She has this ethereal, magical, unicorny, otherworldly kind of thing that swirls around her that she does purposely. She's filled with joy. She loves what she's doing. And I don't think I've ever seen an artist that loves to write as much as she does and loves to collaborate. She is going to be really interesting to watch.
Yes.
Going into her 50s and 60s and 70s.
Yes.
I don't know if I'll still be alive, but my God, is this young woman
Science, Jen.
Science, but is she ever going to be an interesting woman to follow the next 25 years?
There's got to be courses about this type of artistry.
There's absolutely university courses about Taylor Swift and what she's done and how she's done it. Even from a music business point of view, I know a friend of mine that was teaching at Berkeley. This was like 4 or 5 years ago. She wasn't the teacher, but she went to a class that was involving Taylor Swift's the impact on the music business was part of the curriculum of this particular course. Yeah, it was really cool. So yeah, that stuff's happening.
Yeah, no, she's a marketing genius. Like, she's packaged herself so well, and I do think she understands how to make something really make sense to her fans, and then and like super serve them. Like, she's always churning out work. She's always giving them something to talk about and a way to connect with her. And she's great. Even if I don't listen to her songs all the time, like by myself, even if it's not my chosen listening style, I still really find her to be such an impressive artist, really.
Yeah.
Well, I have to do a shout out to Chapel Rowan this week and her Subway song. The Subway, is that what it's called?
I forget.
It's the title of a song?
Yes.
Yeah, she has a new single.
It is
God,
so
I'm living
good.
under a rock.
It's so
The
good.
Subway. Yep.
I just, the lyrics, the melody, the style on the video.
Hair, beauty mark next to your mouth. There on the subway, I nearly had a breakdown.
But I mean,
deep.
I just simple sentiment and simple observations. I don't know. It struck a chord with me. I'm not like a hugely familiar with all Chapel stuff. You've listened to her for a long time, Caitlin, but I sat and then I listened to the song. Again. I'm going to say in my car 7 or 8 times in a row, as loud as I could fucking play it. And I drove and I sat in my driveway. Haven't done this for a great many years, and listened to it again before I took the car into the garage.
Cool. Isn't that great when a song hits you like that? I love that.
And I was not sure why it was doing what it was doing to me. But anyway, that's just, if you haven't listened to it, go pull that up on one of your favorite streamers and listen to The Subway by Chapel Rowan.
I would play it for you, but we'll get flagged.
We get in trouble. Okay, we do have a voice note, and we are going to get to it now.
Okay, here is our lonely voice note for the week. To be fair, we've only had a couple days between recordings, so get your voice notes in. We want to hear about your.
Yes.
I guess there's a plethora of things today. Your first dates,
and have you ever had
farting.
Yes. If you've ever had if you have a fart story or a terrible first date story, we want to hear it.
Okay, here we go.
Hi, Jan, Sarah, and Caitlin. Karen from Halifax here. Jan's independent movie character in Hot Chocolate, as she described in this recent Only Jan's podcast, was a M.A.I.D date. 3 years ago, myself, my twin sister, and 2 other siblings experienced our lovely mom's requested M.A.I.D date at her home. So very surreal. Our mama asked us to have us all together the night before for a champagne toast. Arriving the morning of, we and our dad met with the doctor who was there and what we would witness. Mom asked to see us all individually, and well, whoa. Dad was in the room with her when she passed at her request. She asked for Sarah McLachlan's Angels to be playing. Still processing this years later, but we loved her and respected her wishes. Damn, it was so hard. Would love to hear a conversation on this topic if the podcast thought this would be appropriate. We are all still dealing with family members very angry at our mom's choices. Steady on to all of us. Love all your podcasts. Take care. Bye, everybody.
My heart.
Karen, man alive. We really feel for the complexities of what you guys faced. And not everyone's going to agree with it. And I'm sure there's contention and things that are so deeply rooted in what we should and shouldn't be doing, and should we be playing God? And, these things run really deep, these kind of ethical questions about life and death. And I don't blame anybody for any reaction that they have to that. And we have talked about the medically assisted death on this program. And we've actually even addressed people that feel that it is an abhorrent program that is often thrown at the feet of severely marginalized people, terminally ill people, terminally mentally ill people. We had a very conversation with an advocate of, there's got to be other choices for us as mentally ill people or very severely disabled people in Canada, other than having that as some kind of morbid solution to not paying them. There's lots of things going on, but if you go back, I don't know how they would search that, Sarah, but we have also talked about...
I can link the episode. I'll link the episode.
I also spoke a number of years ago about Susan Dunn, who was just a fan of mine, and I inadvertently ended up on the phone with her when she was having M.A.I.D done, and was on the phone when she passed away. It's a very heartwarming story and a very hard story, and
we can bring that up if you want as our recall episode for next week.
I think it would be a good idea, being prompted by Karen. It might be something that our listeners would really like to hear about. But thank you very much for your very thoughtful voicemail. And girls, any other thoughts on that? I'm sure you have comments that you'd like to make for Karen.
That it was the Sarah McLachlan "Arms of the Angel." I don't know why. I just immediately was like, "Oh, it's such a beautiful song."
Just know that we're working on trying to have Sarah McLachlan on soon. So that's one little thing.
I think Sarah would be really touched to know that.
Yeah, we can tell her.
Yeah.
But yeah, like there's something here, like, even if we don't go as far as medically assisted death, there's something to be said about someone's like dignity and agency, right? And making sure that those decisions are left to the person, is a really hard thing when you're external, right? To wrap your head around. And
well, I mean, I'll just give you an example. The program, certainly, it's not without problems. It's not without holes in the fabric of what its intentions are. But just to give you an example of what happened in this country, let's say 30 years ago, I had a great uncle. It was my mom's uncle. So it was her mother's brother. And he was a farmer in Wetaskiwin, and he was diagnosed with a brain tumor, I think. Yes, it was something that was not looking good. And his choices were going to be, you're going to go through this, all the pain of it and anguish. His choices were, you can stop chemo now and just die, naturally, or the chemo could kill you. Like the choices were nil and nil.
Yeah.
And what my great uncle did was he took a bunch of rat poison. He walked out into a field. He walked out into the field. It was like a mile from the house. He didn't want anyone to see him. He didn't want to suffer. He was scared of his brain tumor. He took this poison, and before he, passed away, he tried to pull branches and sticks over himself to hide himself. He didn't want anyone to find him.
Oh my God.
That doesn't work out because you obviously are going to find him. It smells. And predators show up. There'll be fucking crows in the sky. Like it's pretty hard as a human being to try and hide yourself. But that's what M.A.I.D could have circumvented. So I'm just saying, when people make that choice to go, it may look like suicide. It may look like a lot of things, but medically assisted death is here to stay. It's not a perfect system, but it is an absolute must in any modern country for people to have a choice of how they end their lives, whether they have ALS, cancer, breast cancer, such severe mental illness that they can't take. I don't know, but I do believe, much like I believe in free choice with abortion and women's rights, I believe that this is an innately human right to make a choice. And believe me, there's hoops you have to jump through. They don't just give it to anybody. If you're depressed for a week and you contact the M.A.I.D people and you're like, oh, I can't, my boyfriend broke up with me and I can't live. And you are not going to get M.A.I.D. I will tell you right now, it's not going to be applicable to you. There's a lot of fail-safe things that you have to go through in order to even be up for consideration for the medically assisted death program. Anyway, it's a weird place to leave the show, but we appreciate that so much. Do check out our recall episodes every Wednesday. We will make sure that this Wednesday, this upcoming Wednesday, that we will feature our episode on Susan Dunn and talking about my entire experience with that, how scary it was, how weird it was, and kind of how life affirming it was too. Having said that, girls, any final thoughts? Is there anything that we should be doing to make her...
What are we talking about on Patreon today?
Well, listen, we haven't talked about my girlfriend at all this episode. And I will be jetting off to
Don't tell us.
Iceland.
Wait for Patreon.
Well, okay. Goodbye. Goodbye. This is all we have for now.
Caitlin, any other teases?
There was only one thing that I really thought was kind of funny, and it just came up on Reddit. And I do want to ask both of you about, to your point of the terrible first date, the woman sharding her pantyhose. I want to hear about. I want to hear about nightmare first date experiences. Personally,
I'm totally there for you.
I want your opinion on something too.
Okay,
that's all I'll say.
Great. Okay,
yeah. Come and
we'll
join
see you on
us.
the other side.
$5 Patreon sign up. We have over 1,000 happy members. We also have a $7 tier, and that's once a month, folks. That's not even weekly. And you get a lot of really cool insights. Obviously, we almost do a full other episode every week, and we have lots of fun things that we talk about. The book portion of our Patreon is we have a monthly Zoom call. We have dozens and dozens of people that show up and talk about our monthly book choice. We just chose
a new book.
Chelsea Handler's I'll Have What She's Having. It's an exceptional book. It's been critically acclaimed. She was just on the Mel Robbins podcast, and Mel Robbins flipped over a lot of Chelsea's insights just about life and living and success and girl power and believing in yourself and kicking ass and if it's a book that you'll want to read, and if you want to be part of our book club and be part of our extra episodes every week, that's $7. But $5 will get you a lot of stuff too. Listen, you can't even get a goddamn box of tampons for $5. Come on, girls. Thanks for listening to us. You can subscribe. It makes it easier for you to find the podcast week after week, and you can even give us a review. 5 stars would be preferable, but we will take 4.5. Until next time, Caitlin Green, Sarah Burke, excellent people. I'm Jann Arden. We'll see you next time. Toodly-doo.